shared with as many people as possible. And for those that can't attend, we'd like to offer this recording as a means of helping them understand the journey that we've all been on together. I'm hoping you've seen the new agenda and the slight rearrangement of timings. You're not going to miss out on anything. We've just slightly altered the way things are going to appear for you, but hopefully to tell the story of what we've been working on over the last few months together. I'm going to try and keep our speakers to time, as we've got a lot to tell you about and a lot to share with you. And I'm also going to ask you at the end of the session to please evaluate how today's gone for you, and if you've heard things that excite you, perhaps where you might share this information further. So we extend our welcome. We are very, very pleased to welcome you all. And I'm going to hand over, firstly, if I can, to ask Libby Keck to share her screen. Libby is the head of the Q Lab and will start to tell us a little bit about where this journey started and a little bit more about the Q Lab. So, Libby, if I can hand over to you, and many thanks for joining us this afternoon.
Super, thank you, Kay. Can I check first of all that people can see the slides? They're coming through okay?
Yeah, that's lovely. And I'll ask everybody to put their microphones on mute at this point so you don't get any interference. Thanks.
Great, thank you. So as Kay said, my name is Libby and I'm head of the Q Labs network, and it's a real pleasure to be here at this session today to be part of this launch event. Apologies if you can hear the school children across the road in the primary school over my house screaming a little bit on their I guess pre-Easter fun days. So me and my team have been working really closely with Kay and Tom and the rest of the team here today for nearly 2 years now. And our relationship started because of a shared interest to look at how to improve care for people who are living with both mental health problems and persistent back and neck pain. So I'm just going to share a little bit of the backstory really of how we came to work together to set the scene for the work that you'll be hearing about today. And I'll start by talking about why we were interested in this topic and then give you a bit of background about Q Lab and who we are. So the numbers of people impacted by these conditions are significant. A quarter of people will experience mental health problems and a third of people will experience back pain every year. They are the most common reasons for people to be on long-term sick leave and are two of the most common causes for disability. And while lots of attention has quite rightly been given to these as individual needs, our work was based on the issue that not enough is currently being done to support people who are experiencing both of these conditions at the same time. Now this slide here just shows how significant the correlation is. So we know that around 50% of people with pain will also experience depression, and people with depression are 1.5 times more likely to experience back pain than those who than the rest of the population. And this interrelationship really changes the nature of support that someone may need, and it affects how our health and care services should be responding to these needs. And unfortunately, we know that currently too many people are experiencing some poor care. Now, as many people on this call today will likely know, either from your personal or professional lives, living with multiple health problems can be a real challenge. So, for example, if you have a physical health condition that causes you pain, it may mean that you are less likely to be active. And that's going to have a direct impact on your mental well-being and your ability to manage feelings of stress and anxiety. The way that you experience these conditions can also be really influenced by other aspects of your life. So, for example, your relationships with your family member or how you respond to situations at work. We know that being diagnosed with these conditions can have a life-changing effect. Some of the people that we've spoken to as part of this work have likened this experience to grief, where there's this real cycle you need to go through to reach a place of acceptance and understanding. Now, unfortunately, there are some ways in which our health and care services and our wider society in this country can just make it harder for people when they're going through this experience. We know that many of the services people access won't be well set up to support people with these conditions at the same time. And as I've said already, the connection isn't really well understood by lots of people. There can be issues of stigma and a lack of workplace support. And within health services specifically, we know that many health professionals don't feel like they're well equipped to support people, and they can find it a real challenge to move away from a focus on finding a cure to how you live well with these conditions. So as you can see, this is a very complicated picture and there's lots of different things that are at play in this. And it was because of these issues that we started working with Keele and others in partnership with Mind, looking at a kind of a shared goal to explore how to improve care for people with mental health problems and persistent pain. Now I'll just give you a bit of a background about QLab. So we were set up to help health and care organisations to tackle complex problems that are impacting on health and care delivery. And when we use the term complex here, we're talking about a problem where there is kind of low levels of certainty about what's causing it and low levels of agreement about how to address it. So hopefully you'll have seen in the picture that I've just presented how much of that kind of holds true. And we know that in many people's kind of day-to-day working practices in health and care, it can be really tricky to give these challenges lots of attention or to learn from others about what works to solve them. So QLab was set up to provide the opportunity for organisations and individuals to collaborate and make progress on some of these challenges. And we enable people to experiment and learn in a supportive way. So QLab is part of the Q community, which is a community of over 4,000 people now working across the UK and Ireland to improve health and care. And many of the team who've been part of this project are members of the community, and it was through this relationship that we saw the opportunity to work together. I'll just talk very briefly about the approach we follow. So we start by convening people across the health and care system, recognising that sustainable improvement really relies on collaborative working. So we form partnerships and collaborations and look to really explore problems deeply from a range of people's different perspectives, drawing on evidence and experience. We then support teams to creatively design and test solutions. So we form a cohort of frontline teams and work alongside them as they look to improve care. And finally, we place lots of emphasis on learning alongside this process, really trying to make sure that we can surface insights that will be relevant for other people who are grappling with similar challenges in different parts of the country. And our goal is that through this process, successful ideas will be developed that can improve care. Now for this particular piece of work that we've been doing over the last few years, Keele were one of 5 frontline teams that we worked with across England and Wales. We spent an initial 6 months together supporting the teams to come up with ideas about how to improve care, and teams were then invited to bid for additional funding for another 12 months to develop the most promising ideas in practice. And the event today comes at the end of this funding period. Now this slide here just shows some of the other teams who've been working alongside Keele. I believe that some of the other teams may also be in the audience today. So if you'd like to find out more about any of the others, then hopefully there's people there that you can reach out to. As you'll be hearing today is obviously going to be showcasing some of the really great work that the Keele team have been working on, and it's been a real pleasure for us at the lab to work alongside them for these last few years and see some of these early ideas kind of blossom and become reality. I will shortly hand back to Kay, as I'm sure you're all very eager to hear more about their work, but I'll just end on this slide, which has just got some links if you'd like to find out more about QLab or the work that we've done on this topic. Then you can find more information at these addresses. Or if you've got any questions throughout the session, then please do put them into the chat box and I'm very happy to respond. I will now hand back across to you, Kay. Thank you.
Thanks ever so much, Libby. That's really setting the scene and starting to build the excitement about what we've been doing over the last few years together as a collaboration. So thank you for that. And we'll take some questions at the end of the session, if that's okay. So you can hear about everything we've been doing. Then we'll have some time for questions right at the very end. So I'm now going to hand over to Professor Krisha Jedjits. So Krisha is our head of director of the Impact Accelerator Unit and Professor of Musculoskeletal Therapy. So Krish is going to tell you a little bit about the Impact Accelerator Unit at Keele. So thanks ever so much, Krisha.
Thanks very much, Kay. So can you hear me and can you see it?
We can hear you and we can see it.
That's fantastic. Okay. So the Impact Accelerator Unit at Keele is a unit that works with patients and public. It works with our clinical partners, works with academics and researchers. And what we're trying to do is optimise opportunity for impact of health and care research in practice and policy, ensure that the right messages and the right products are targeted to the right audience to optimize impact, and really provide a focused approach to implementation activities to align to stakeholder priorities. So on the one hand, Keele produces a lot of really high quality, internationally recognized research, and then on the other hand, the people who pay for that research one way or another. So how can we get that research in the hands of those who want to use it? One of the things that we're very keen to attend to as part of an Impact Accelerator unit is our values. So as a group of stakeholders, we share power and responsibility equitably, we share a common understanding of our activities, and we're keen on capacity building, respect and recognition. We want to share goals, and we want to work with mutual benefit in an interdisciplinary way. So one of the things that we're here to do is to strengthen stakeholder engagement and partnerships, and I think this is a really excellent example of this in this work. Our ambition is to implement best care through the highest quality research, but also to assess the impact of our research on our implementation of that research, taking that research into practice, and patient and public involvement and engagement. And we have a link group that we work very closely with who helps to shape the work that we do. But importantly, we want to create an enabling environment to support the health and care transformation. So we are built up of a whole range of different people. So our patients and public, our clinician champions, and our researchers and academics. And we get used to wearing multiple hats and try to bring in multiple networks. So we're all encouraged to have quality and excellence at our heart. And as individuals, we need to think like a system and act like an entrepreneur. So again, you will see this project for me and as director really does embody the work of my very talented colleagues who've taken this forward. So one of our examples of research is Start Back, which was a low back pain trial that demonstrated that if you could have some questions that are asked when people present to their general practitioner with back pain, those questions could help to target the right treatment and help practitioners to support the patients with self-management and the right care. So it was funded by Versus Arthritis, and Public Health England determined the return on investment by implementing this service into your system was for every £1 invested, you would have a £226.34 return. So clearly this was a priority for us to think, how do we support services to deliver this? And currently there's about 45% of general practices in NHS England who are running this. But we also recognise that Keele's not only recognised for its musculoskeletal research. We have Professor Carolyn Chew-Graham, who leads mental health research in primary care. And two of our colleagues, Johnny Quick, who's standing behind me. I'm the one at the front with the blonde hair. Clearly, lockdown has changed my hairstyle somewhat, but Johnny's standing tall in that group. And then Tom, who's here as well. They encouraged us to come together to say, well, people have lived experiences of multiple conditions. So how can we combine our evidence and support people to live with mental health, anxiety, depression, back pain together? And of course, we pondered this, we launched a conference and worked through and realised this was going to be a challenge. So looking around for inspiration, a number of us were members of the Q community. And so in one of the Q community events, when they highlighted that they wanted to do this work with minds and looking at back pain, we just knew we had to be part of this space. And I'd really like to thank the Health Foundation for the opportunity to do this, and thank all my colleagues for all the hard work they've done. Nothing to do with me, but I'm incredibly proud of what they've achieved. So thanks very much, Kay.
Thanks, Krisha. That's fantastic. I'm going to attempt to share my screen now. So bear with me for 2 seconds. So can I just ask for a yes that you can see it, and that yes, you can still hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, it's yes all round. Okay,
Yep.
fantastic. So I start to build the excitement a little bit more, everybody, I think, in terms of what you're going to hear later on during the afternoon. So myself and Tom, I've just given you a little bit of an oversight of what the project has involved for us. So welcome, everybody. And gosh, remember this when we were allowed to stand so close together to each other and even give each other a hug. So I just want to add my welcome and my thanks to everybody that's been involved in this project, from our patient and public involvement, from our academics to representatives from the charities, and to the Health Foundation, the Q community. We've had an absolute brilliant time working on this project and learned such a lot from all our partners in this work. So I hope you're going to enjoy what we've been doing. So Libby has already sort of highlighted our connection to the Q community, and I would just like to say thank you. But also, this Q community wasn't just funding for this project. They've been an absolute key part in our learning and helping us try different techniques to really engage the broader community in this work. And I'll share a couple of examples of that with you as we go through. And we've already highlighted that we're not the only people that have been working on this complex challenge, as Libby's identified, but rather than work in isolation on these projects, the Q community has really encouraged us to share our learning throughout the process. So we've been in regular contact with the other members of this community to actually hear about what they're doing and learn from their experiences as well. And that's one of the key differences, I think, here, is that we've been very open about sharing our successes and our challenges. So we started our journey, and as any community coming together, we met at a neutral venue. It was Summit Hospitality. These were the days over 12 months ago when we were allowed to sit around a table and to cogitate and think about the challenges of what patients with lived experience of mental health problems and musculoskeletal problems experience when they came into our services. So we heard lots about how experiences were challenging from lots of different perspectives, from patients with lived experience, from our clinicians, from our academics, from our commissioners. So we really generated this combined conversation to get a deeper understanding. And even if you can't read what these sticky notes say, it looks complex, doesn't it? This is about what patients experience as they try and translate themselves through our services. It's hugely complex. And so what we wanted to try and understand was, were there things that we could help design and co-create together that might assist in reducing some of this burden, in reducing some of this challenge and complexity? And so we started this process, and this was the very start of it in terms of helping us think about and hearing about what the experience has involved. Now I'm going to share this picture with you because I think this picture says more than 1,000 words, doesn't it really? Libby and her team helped us, as I said, to utilise some different methodologies to hear and see the experiences of our patients as they came into our services. And I think this says an awful lot, doesn't it, about what a patient might experience, that they get a sense that there is some tightrope to be walked between different sections of the pathway, and it's like going over shark infested waters. So there's some help needed here in this system to help people navigate. So I think you can see just from the visual representation is how challenging this might be and concerning for patients. I'll share another couple of drawings with you here, and the one on the left really sort of starts to give us some indication that the peer room at the Hayward Hospital, so this is the patient information and education room, is a destination for some people potentially to come and get some information and some support. But we also saw from the drawing on the right that maybe some sort of resource that collected together some services or activities that's written in the patient voice might be a way forwards. So you've seen from the last two slides that there's a sense of some of the complexities in going through this pathway, but then using these visual forms of some of the ideas that people were actually starting to present. We were then allowed, as I highlighted before, that the Q community really do encourage us to explore different ways of working and different ways of thinking. And Tom and I were lucky enough to go to an event in Birmingham, which again just helped us test out some of our theories and some of the things that we were thinking about. And we were exposed to this technique which was a very strange but really powerful technique, where Tom and I had to pitch an idea to a group of people we'd not met before, and we had something like a minute and a half, I think, to do that. We then had to turn our back, stay silent, not give any body language away, and let the group discuss the idea. And if you ever want to use this technique, it was really valuable, because what we heard in the conversation gave us a lot of food for thought in terms of the ideas that we were starting to think about. So a really powerful technique that myself or Tom had never used before. And whilst we had to stay silent for a little while, we did get hold of the microphone at some point and shared our experiences. So it was a really great day for learning different techniques and meeting new and interested Q community members. So by the end of this, by the end of our sort of thinking journey, we were starting to hear the message that something was needed that linked together our patients, the public and clinicians about potentially sharing some of this vital knowledge that clinicians and people with lived experience have in their journeys through pathways. We started to hear a little bit about wanting a collection potentially of some information that may be useful to people and to patients and the public in managing both their mental health and their musculoskeletal problems. And then we also started to hear that there were some key messages that we could share with our communities about those kinds of information, and those sort of messages needed to be based in the very best evidence that we had. So I hope what I've done there is set the scene of the journey that we've had on the Q community and with our partners and our collaborators. And I'm going to hand over now to Nikki, who's our Impact Accelerator Unit Manager, to share with you the innovations that we've developed. So Nikki, I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to hand over to you, if that's okay.
Thanks, Kay. Laura's just going to load something up for me. Okay, can everyone see that?
Yeah, we can see the little cone, Laura.
Great.
Yep.
And there should be sound with it as well. So if you don't hear any sound, then please flag that with me.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Nikki Evans, the Impact Accelerator Unit Manager at Keele University and Project Manager for this QLab project. The QLab project has been 18 months in the making, bringing together evidence-based support, information and innovation for people managing mental health and persistent pain. We are now ready to launch the innovations to you and share these amongst our local, regional and national communities and networks. The QLab project and its innovations have been co-produced by a team who have a real passion for positive change. So on behalf of the QLab project team, welcome to BeeFree, a support hive for minds and movement, providing resources for those needing support with pain and mental health. A trusted, reputable source for information, resources and learning for clinicians, volunteers and patients. Developed in collaboration with local and national partners, including NHS trusts, third sector organisations and charities. It has been co-produced with the expertise of patients, service users and the public. The aim of BeeFree is to provide innovative resources that are easy to access and to provide clinicians with the tools they need to support patients. With this in mind, 4 key innovations have been developed through a community of practice approach, bringing together stakeholders from clinical settings, public health, charities, private industry, volunteers, patients and the public to reflect the needs of both local and national audience. So our first innovation is the BeeFree website and brand. The website provides a host platform for the innovations. It is easy to access and user-friendly with a clear and uncomplicated style to enable individuals to seek the information they need. The BeeFree brand is strong, easily recognisable. The eye-catching main colour of yellow is complemented by a warming colour palette throughout the innovations, inviting the individual to engage. The bee was chosen for its connection to community, for brightness and personal power, reinforcing the positivity of having the information and support to make positive steps in health. Developed from evaluated face-to-face training, an online training package has been developed for clinicians and volunteers, providing evidence-based messages for supporting mental health. It has been split into modules for both ease of access and the ability to complete in bite-sized chunks of learning. Our third innovation is an information repository. This provides key information to support an individual to manage their mental health and persistent pain. It signposts to local and national support, to organisations and to opportunities, all within one document. Developed into a digital resource, it provides the individual with the ability to access selected information or download a full electronic flipbook. The final innovation is a short animation for use in community and clinical waiting rooms, GP surgeries, and in bite-sized chunks on social media. It delivers evidence-based messages in a unique, easy-to-perceive way, connecting people to information and support. All of the innovations have been designed to meet the needs of a wide audience, with the ambition of the project being to scale these up to a national audience. The team will go on to tell you more about each of the innovations and how they could work for you or the population you support.
Thanks, Nikki. That's brilliant. So the innovations are out there now. You'll start to hear a little bit more now about each and an individual one. So I hope we've whetted your appetite. So now I'm going to hand you over to Laura Campbell. Laura is a knowledge broker in the Impact Accelerator unit. So Laura's going to introduce the animation to you. Thanks, Laura.
Great, thank you. Can you see that and hear me okay?
I can see and hear you, yeah.
Yeah, great, okay. So discussions around our branding and animation started around April 2020, and we brought together a multidisciplinary team of mental health practitioners, musculoskeletal physiotherapists, representatives from the Mind charity, patients from the public, and volunteers from the Patient Information and Education Resource Room at the Hayward Hospital, as well as design and communication experts, more than just design. I think timing really helped with the enthusiasm behind our project, but it was just after the first lockdown and it really brought us all together with something to focus on. So More Than Just Design took us through what was a new process for us in the IAU. We started by clarifying our objectives, which were to provide up-to-date evidence-based information to support patients and carers to make informed decisions about their health and well-being through an engaging resource that was one of hope and positivity to move forward. We also wanted to equip volunteers and clinicians with the necessary tools and training to support the patients to do this. We therefore devised as a group the personas of patients, carers, volunteers and clinicians who may use the resources to try and put ourselves in their positions, understand their needs, their attitudes, their barriers to accessing support. At the same time, More Than Just Design talked us through various colour palettes, and we settled on yellow to symbolise hope, energy and optimism. We compared other brands and what we felt worked and didn't work, and we also extracted keywords and phrases from our group discussions, and mind and movement were what came up again and again, as they nicely covered both mental health challenges and physical pain without being overly scary, explicit, negative. Second to these were the words support, progression and freedom. So we used these to start to think about a character for our brand, and it was quickly decided that to be as universally representative as possible, we would choose an animal rather than a person. And so the animal which we all felt embodied these keywords of support, movement, progression and freedom were bees. and so BeeFree was born. We went through various iterations of the name and logo, but BeeFree was unanimous amongst our team of patients, volunteers and clinicians. BeeFree is optimistic and we think offers hope and solutions to feel free to access support for long-term pain and associated mental health challenges. All the information then fell into what we called the high five. Broad messages of sleep well, eat well, get active, get creative and get talking. We felt that a hive of bees are a strong support network, all working together, and that's what we wanted to provide with BeeFree support. So the branding process was carried out in parallel to the creation of an animation, which will be shown in GP waiting rooms, physio waiting rooms, therapy waiting rooms, community waiting rooms. And the animation tells the story of a bee who is in pain and feels understandably low because of it. But the bee finds helpful solutions to its challenges by trying out the support of the high five. You'll also notice hints throughout the animation of the local community in which these resources were created. BeeFree really has been made by the local population for the local population, but with the flexibility to be adapted to other areas in the rest of the UK. So I'd like to show you now the full animation. This is the long version. We have also split the high five into shorter versions, as Nikki said, for use on social media and websites. The long version will be going live in waiting rooms this week. And if you're on Twitter, we would like to encourage you to go to @BeeFreeHealth, which is our new Twitter handle, to tell us what you think. So if you just bear with me while I get the animation up. I have to make sure I'm flipping between the right screens. Okay, can you see that?
I can see a traffic cone.
Traffic cone. Yeah. Okay, and there should be sound again. So if there's no sound, then just flag it up. But yeah, I hope you enjoy. And that's it.
Thanks, Laura. Brilliant. Really uplifting. And I'm resisting the temptation to say it's beautiful. Thanks to Dave Perkis at More Than Just Design for the brilliant animation, but for everybody's contribution to that. So thanks for sharing that, Laura. We're going to go into the next innovation now, which is the training element. So I'm going to hand over to Dr. Tom Kingstone and Professor Carolyn Chew Graham. Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Kate. Much appreciated for the introduction. So hi everyone. So with great pleasure, I'm going to introduce our online training innovation to you. I'm going to be talking on behalf of Carolyn Chew Graham. She is in the audience, and just to recognise her role, the significant role she's played in developing this training with me and the rest of the collaborators as well. So I'm just going to be covering the following kind of key points. So just focusing on kind of why training, why did we think we needed training, talk a little bit about the development process behind the training as well, and then to end with our offer to you and what we've got in store for you in terms of the training on our website. So in terms of kind of why training, so taking us right back to kind of early stakeholder engagement work that we did, we spoke with our community of practice members and identified a clear need for training in its own right, but also to complement the other innovations that we've put together. We looked at kind of what training was out there already and available to a wide range of audience, and reached the conclusion that a new package of training was needed. We worked with our community of practice to engage different voices around the table, to hear about different training needs that people had. And we worked with a mixed group of healthcare professionals and volunteers, and we focused on the kind of shared training needs that each of these members had. And try to develop a piece of training, a package of training that was relevant and accessible to meet those broad range of needs and those broad range of people, to make it inclusive. And from here, we developed, co-designed a training framework and a set of key objectives or targets for our training to kind of hit. So we focused on wanting to kind of raise awareness, one about the relationship between persistent pain and mental health, and also about kind of common mental health conditions such as distress, anxiety and depression, which are prevalent amongst the population with pain. We also wanted to focus on trying to build people's confidence, mainly in terms of their confidence in having conversations about mental health and kind of learning the language of mental health when they're kind of consulting or engaging with people with persistent pain. We also wanted to try and signpost people to actions and useful ways and means of supporting people to take those kind of conversations a little bit further, to provide some useful advice as well, and to support some positive action for people. So just to talk a little bit about the development process. So as I said, we had that kind of framework to begin with that we'd developed with our community of practice. We kept going back to them to develop the content and to kind of flesh out that framework, focusing on those kind of three key areas. Within the kind of confidence section, we wanted to focus more on kind of communication skills and trying to encourage the development of these. Within the kind of supporting action area, we looked at psychological theories and approaches in the literature and applied these and embedded these where appropriate. In the case of the supporting action, we focused mainly on something called behaviour activation, which is an approach where you can identify meaningful activities with individuals and then establish goals around those activities to support engagement and to therefore support their well-being as well. We started off with a face-to-face offer. So Carolyn delivered a face-to-face workshop way back in 2019, and this provided a great opportunity to test out some of that content. And we evaluated the workshop to get a sense of kind of what people thought about it, if it covered what they were expecting, whether there were kind of opportunities to offer a little bit more. So we had 23 learners. They were all from kind of mixed backgrounds. So again, healthcare professionals, consultants, kind of entry-level students, and also volunteers that were working within the Hayward. The feedback we got was really positive. They really appreciated and enjoyed the kind of group-based learning, even despite it being a mixed group of individuals. They did request more kind of background information about mental health and about pain, more of the kind of stats kind of related stuff and that kind of background info. And they also kind of targeted or were interested in having more kind of self-care strategies as well, So I guess it can be quite distressing having conversations about mental health and supporting the mental health needs of others. They were interested in understanding more about how they could maintain and protect their own kind of safety in those conversations and protect their own mental health. So we took that advice and the feedback on board and scheduled a second face-to-face workshop to put some of that learning into action. Unfortunately, that was around March time in 2020. Obviously, COVID kind of hit at that point. We drummed up a lot of interest. There were 75 people that had signed up to attend the training. We're really excited, and then obviously, I think it was about 5 days before the national lockdown, we decided to cancel the event. I guess on reflection, if that were to happen now, we'd probably think no problem, we just deliver it virtually. But back then, all of that was kind of completely alien to us and probably alien to a lot of the people that were intending on attending the training. We've been working since then to focus on translating that kind of face-to-face contact into an online offer. So perhaps taking away some of that, the positive side of that, which was the group work. So taking that away from the online offer, but focusing more on the kind of content and the information that we're providing. And we did this with a lot of input again from our community of practice, continually going back and forward between us and them to really put this together in partnership. And we're pleased to offer our training to you now, so it should be available on the website. So we've taken that face-to-face half-day workshop, and we've developed 3 online modules that cover 3 distinctive areas. So we're focusing on the first module focuses on being aware of mental health and persistent pain, so some of that kind of background information. The second focuses more on how you can recognise mental health problems. What are the cues you can be looking out for? How can you detect it and make those kind of initial steps and stages? And then we focus more in the third module on providing mental health support. So ways forward for people, ways that you can signpost and ways that you can support people to take the next kind of step. So we've just got some visuals of the training here that are on the website. So this is the kind of landing page on the website for the training. There's helpful kind of navigation menus and tools within the training itself to help guide you through each of the modules. And the content itself, as you can see, is all nice and clear with some animations in there to keep you interested in interacting with the learning. We've also included additional resources and hyperlinks. So for those that want to go away and kind of learn outside of this online training, we've provided kind of signposting to kind of support that as you kind of go forward. So in terms of what's actually available and on offer for you today, we've got a taster session set up on the website, so you can go in, access that, see how it looks, and provide feedback on that. And then over the next kind of couple of weeks, or maybe the next month, we're going to be releasing the other modules as well. We wanted to release the taster session just so we can get some initial feedback from you in terms of kind of how you thought the training looked, the quality, and what you would be interested in learning about after that. And like I say, there's opportunities within that to kind of provide feedback, and there's opportunities across the whole website to kind of provide feedback, because we want to obviously learn and improve as we go along with this. So just to end, just wanted to thank all of the collaborators really that have been part of this project, and also to say special thanks really to the design team. So at the outset of this work, they weren't intending to put this online training together, so they've had to step in at the last minute really to help pull this all together. So really thankful for the role they've played in doing this. I'll hand back to Kay.
Thanks ever so much, Tom. That's great, and hopefully a lot of folks will go away and check that out. So I hope you really enjoy that training, and it gives you something to help you manage the patients you are having in your day-to-day practice. So thanks to Tom and Carolyn for pulling that together, and again for Dave and his team at More Than Just Designs for putting that all onto the website for us, so thank you for that. So now I'm going to introduce you to Jenny Lench. So Jenny is one of our core team and has absolutely been instrumental in developing this next innovation, and has really done a phenomenal job. I'm sure you will appreciate this by the end of Jenny's presentation of what she's been able to achieve. So Jenny is the involvement manager at Midlands Partnership NHS Foundation Trust. So welcome, Jenny, and thank you for being part of our journey, because Jenny's been part of our core team right from the start. So I'm going to hand over to you, Jenny, without further ado. Thank you.
That's lovely. Thank you, Kay. Good afternoon, everybody. I'll just try and attempt to share my slides, so please bear with me while I do. And this is the moment where we hope and pray that they present.
So I can see that, Jenny. Yep, and I can still hear you. So perfect.
Okay, is that presenting for everybody? Lovely. Okay, so good afternoon, everybody, and what a glorious day to be here today and to actually showcase all of our innovations. So we've seen on obviously Tom's previous slide around the co-production with all of our stakeholders and organisations, and this repository, it's been fully co-produced in true co-production style. We're starting with a blank canvas. There was nothing out there previously. It was purely a blank page that we started with, and every step of the way it's being co-produced with service users, carers, volunteers, clinicians, staff, and Mind, our local mental health charity. So our ambition has been to co-produce a repository of community services, bringing together in one interactive digital platform local support groups, charities and organisations across Staffordshire and Stoke-on-Trent to support access and navigation to information, with the scope that we can scale up and out to a national translation. So we've heard throughout of our presentations that the volunteers from the PIA have been involved in this project from the onset, with one particular public contributor, Patricia Callahan, taking the helm alongside myself to co-produce our repository. And I think I speak on behalf of Pat as well as myself. We've both lived and breathed this for the past 12 months, which has absolutely been a big part of our world. So thank you, Pat, for your involvement within this. And I think today is just fantastic to actually showcase the work that we've done to date. So from the pinch points of the community practice meetings we held back in March, the key question that was posed back then was around what information is available to help me after my appointment. So for some, it's easy to find information. However, for others, it's a minefield. Where do we start looking? And often the words of finding a needle in a haystack often come to mind. The internet is a wonderful search engine. However, if people are not used to navigating it or knowing exactly where to look, it can be overwhelming, and actually finding that information from a trusted source can sometimes be hard to find. And I'm sure that for some, the question has been asked many times and can often feel overwhelming, where we're actually trying to find information to be signposted for support. So the PIA hosts a range of patient information leaflets and computer facilities which provide personal contact for service users to ask questions and to seek support. But for our innovation, we wanted one centralised platform that gave all of those into one place. So we've heard that our framework was focused around the 5 steps to wellbeing, which threaded together of our 3 innovations. We looked at the things that you can do to manage your own pain and mood. We know that it won't take away the pain, but it can significantly improve our day-to-day life. And it is envisaged that the information contained within the repository will help you, families, carers and clinicians to find services to support our health and well-being. Our initial focus around the 5 steps to well-being, obviously we'd looked around talking, but sometimes it's around how can we talk, who do we talk to? Sometimes people find talking extremely difficult and may not have the confidence to talk or to express the true feelings that they actually are experiencing. When we also think around getting active with exercise, we often think around being active involves joining a gym and having fancy gym wear. It isn't always the case. Just even a simple walk to the shops or a walk around the block are all means of exercise. We don't have to run a marathon to think that we're actually doing exercise. When we think around being creative, that could be anything from reading, from gardening, from baking, to doing anything that we enjoy doing and helps to relax our mind are all useful tools that we can look at. We acknowledge that there isn't a one-size-all approach and that many will do what they feel comfortable to do to support them. We also wanted to look at around the self-help resources that are out there as well to support musculoskeletal disease, but also around talking therapies as well, various other mindful apps that are out there, mindful books, anything to promote the wellness and the positivity, but also to give people the confidence to take that positive step forward and to take that positive action. Whilst we were producing our repository, we were very mindful around the target audience and ensuring that the offer is attractive and the support effective to our offering. So just a couple of clips there from the repository that has obviously been produced. So when we say around sleeping well, what do we actually mean and how can we sleep well? There are simple things that we can do to change and have a good night's sleep. And they could be, you know, really simple things like, for example, taking a warm bath. It will help to relax. Just having reducing caffeine throughout the day or the lead up to night can help reduce, obviously, you know, our activeness and can give us a well rested sleep through the night. Avoiding alcohol as well, which is a main factor sometimes. We've talked there around getting active. We put some simple top tips there to increase activity, but also we put useful websites there to gain further information around walking for health, gentle exercise classes as well. We've included there the NHS Couch to 5K, a running plan which is for absolute beginners. As we've said before, you don't have to run a marathon to think that you're actually doing exercise. Simple changes will have a big difference in our health and mind. In addition to those, we looked at local charities within the area and also local community groups such as local libraries and centres which we could include within our repository. We'd kept in mind around the 5 steps to wellbeing and building our repository around those. However, as we all know, in March 2020, COVID-19 changed life as we knew it. So we all made huge changes to the way we work, the way we exercised, socialised, to shop, and also around taking care of family and friends. But more importantly, it changed around how we managed our own health and well-being. Overnight, many of us became technical genius, navigating our way around Zoom or Microsoft Teams, and the words "we can't hear you, you're on mute" became part of our everyday language. And for us, this brought a change in direction. It allowed us to expand our search to include topics such as coping with sadness and loss, money matters, domestic violence and abuse, and more importantly, where to get help for when life becomes too much for us. We'd also looked around gardening and green space, and research has found that gardening can help reduce stress and anxiety, which increases the ability to concentrate and engage with nature, boosting both physical and mental health. And this is an area in which Patricia had concentrated on. The work that she's produced, it's been clearly written with passion and clearly from the heart, just to promote why gardening is good for us and good for our mental well-being. And even today with the sun shining, the moods of lifting, hearing the birds singing, the flowers, it all lifts our mood, and hopefully it calms our mind as well. Our audience throughout has been at the forefront throughout our development, understanding the health and literacy needs of population, and why this has been crucial to enable people to be empowered to play an active role in improving their own health, managing pain and mood. But most importantly, providing you with a digital platform that can access as often as you wish to. There may only be one topic which is pertinent to some. However, there are many other topics in which we would hope that you would visit and maybe pick up some top tips on how you can help manage your health and well-being. Oh, sorry, I've just gone click too happy there. So throughout the development, we've gained consultation from the core project group. We have also linked in with the Keel's research user group and also the link group to gain consultation on ideas. What else do we need to include, but also to look at the sensitivity and the nature of the wording. We also looked at throughout the consultation around we need to have a point in which we stop. We could have gone on for forever and ever, including various topics, but we understood that there needed to be a time to stop and just to refine what we'd actually put in within our repository. So we've also recognised that people may not have technology or wouldn't want to access online, and for this reason a hard copy will be made available in the pier once that's reopened, obviously back in at the Hayward Hospital. The peer volunteers have taken on a role to ensure that the repository is to be kept up to date and developed, and again we will be receiving feedback along the way to if there's additional information that we feel may be needed, but also around looking at information what other people feel that would be useful within this repository. The list is endless when we carry on around what we want to be included. I just would like to say finally, thank you to everyone who's been part of this amazing journey. And I know that COVID has brought some unfortunate cases to us all, but it made us look at how we support each other, the support that is out there, and also being important around getting the balance right between work and home, and people are working from home. I would just like to thank Pat really for all the hard work Patricia has done working together, and I'm sure that we both would like to say on behalf of people that we've appreciated the opportunity to be part of this project. It's been truly inspirational to work along such wonderful people. Thank you, and I'll hand back to you, Kay.
Thanks, Jenny. Honestly, yeah, the work that Jenny, you've put in alongside Pat and June and the peer volunteers is just stunning. And I think what you've given there is a small snapshot of a very comprehensive repository of all sorts of information that patients and clinicians are going to find absolutely invaluable. So please do take a look. It's an immense piece of work, and we've been so pleased, Jenny, Pat, and June. You've led that for the innovation. So thank you so much. So there are many heroes today, and you've met a few of them along the way, but one of our biggest ones I think I'm going to introduce you to now is Dave Purkis from More Than Just Design. Dave and his team have done an amazing job at translating some of our ideas into the animations and the repositories and the website that you've been hearing about today. So I'm going to hand over to Dave with our thanks, Dave, for all your help and your team, to tell us a little bit more about the website.
Great, thanks for that, Kay. I'm just going to share my screen. If you give me a thumbs up if you can see that, that'd be really helpful. And then, yeah, great. So I'm just going to run straight in, but
it's my pleasure to be able to talk to you about the BeeFree website, which is essentially a support hive for mind and movement, and is the hub that houses a range of innovations that have been developed specifically through the BeeFree project. When designing and developing the website, we brought together all of the research that we gathered from previous innovation meetings, and like all of the other innovations, we were conscious that one of the project stipulations was that the resources created were designed for patients, by patients. So that has been in the forefront of our minds throughout this journey. We're able to work to the personas that we previously built through the community practice meetings and gather relevant information that would guide the designs running forward. So without further ado, let me give you a flavour of the BeeFree website, which can be found at www.beefree.org.uk. Welcome to BeeFree. So the site has been built on a platform that can functionally develop as time progresses, and as the support widens, allowing for additional features to be integrated where appropriate. The site is a continuation of the storytelling style and the theme that was created and developed through the branding into the animation, and it's built around clear navigational points, easily accessed, that cover our journey, the high five, training, support, feedback, and the contact form. We've also incorporated a home button as well, using the icon of the BeeFree logo. So within a short click or a scroll, you can access the animation. And following on from the animation, you can actually click on the read the transcript and read the copy there that we've just extracted from the animation to make it really kind of easily accessible. The next scroll takes you through to I want to hear more, the opportunity for you to feedback anything that you want to see included in the site and make contact with the team. You've also got a quick link here that takes you straight through to the high five, where there's 5 key straight tips that can help you on your journey to feeling better. Following that, we've given you access straight away to download a support guide, which a simple click will bring up a full repository of information. And as you can see, there's a full wealth of knowledge within there and support available and easily accessed. Simple back button takes you straight through to the site homepage again, where you can see the collaborators that have been a real key part of this research. All of these are click links straight through to the organisations. Again, the opportunity for you to find out more. The Our Journey page. This is the background to the project, really. But straight away, we're asking a key question there. Are you one of the 1 in 5 people in the UK who experiences pain that has gone on for longer than 3 months? And we really want people to know that they're not alone. Offering them support straight away, again, clicking straight through to the links to each of the 5 sections on the high five. We're showing a background to the resources as well here, where Kay talks on the QLab website about the background to the project, the background to the research. So there's a click link there through to another video and a blog featuring Kay giving the background to the story there as well. It's really important to show the credibility of the resources as well. So having a project team, the bios of everyone involved in the project will hopefully give people the safe knowledge that this has been put together by patients and professionals who really know what they're talking about and actually can be very visible on the site here. You can see as we guide people through each of the profiles, you can really learn about all the backgrounds to the different avenues, I guess, people are feeding into this research from. We've also backed it up again with the collaborative team approach. Kay talks again about the project and leads us into a section a little bit more about the innovations, the 3 main innovations, the training package, the local resources and the animation. Again, giving people the opportunity to make contact straight away. Accessing the high five. Through the high five navigation, a dedicated page to the 5 key areas, again highlighting different sliders really that take you, hopefully guide you through this process of the journey, but making a positive step each day and how it doesn't have to be a huge leap, but it's got to be what's right for you. Again, simple click straight through to highlighting the 5 key areas, but now breaking them down a little bit more. into the 5 sections: get talking, get active, get creative, getting healthy, and sleeping well. But we didn't want to just leave it there. So at every point of the way, we've also got the ability for people to explore the resources by clicking there, which takes you straight through to the resources and support page, or again, requesting more information through the feedback forms. And again, giving people the opportunity here, right at the end of the page here, just to be able to access more support, or be kept in touch with, you know. So here we also included a link to the full support, because we're very aware that we need to make that full support guide available at multiple points throughout this website. We've aimed to keep it consistent as well, so where you see the download graphics, you'll become familiar with knowing which download graphics are available. Into the training section. So here we've got the introduction to the course, and in the key sliders there, again, scrolling down, I've already logged into this. You'll have a login portal that you can sign up for your own account. We've got a brief overview of the course introduction, straight into the 3 modules, with 2 more coming soon shortly, and the initial taster. So what you'll do, you'll click on the initial module. It'll bring you open into the training resource here, where you can see more of the course description there, and then we can access the different areas of the course content. So we've got 3 sections in this first module, with the taster under the first section here, understanding the link between persistent pain and mental health. So I'm going to click on that, which will take me through to the training pages. Here you can see it's clearly identified as to the different kind of aspects of the course. I can close that out, and I can go straight to the lesson content and see I can start the journey really. At different points, you can see the stages of where you've, what you've completed and what you haven't. But I'm going to show you how simple it is to access that training just now. You just literally click the next topic. We've got click-through links if you want to see more of the published evidence. We've incorporated some of the illustration work throughout the site, throughout the training as well. Case studies, moving graphics to try and bring things and key information to life, and incorporated additional illustrations to support different sections of the content really. So without giving too much of that away now, I'm going to take you back through to the main site. And if you want to see more of the training, you'll have to log on and develop your own account there. So we go straight through into the support aspect, which we've already covered some of that straight away with the other pages, but it's got its own dedicated page here. So we want to make sure people can access the pages at different stages of their journey. So if they want support straight away, they can click straight on support. It will take them straight through to the downloadable PDF resource, which you've heard about a little bit earlier. But again, with click links straight through to different pages, different click links that take you straight through to different websites as well, offering more support. Again, built in the consistency of styling and storytelling through the brand. Which you can access. And again, there's the opportunity to feedback at the end of that, which we'd encourage you. Again, with the introductory section there, taking people back through to the high 5 page if they want to capture just those 5 quick bite-sized takeaways. And again, if you missed it at the top of the website page, we wanted to make sure you didn't miss it when you scroll down again. So the opportunity again to download the resource. Taking you through to the feedback page now. Feedback is massively important. It's anonymous, so you're able to feed into what you thought of each of the different key aspects, whether that's the BeeFree website, whether that's the short training module, whether that's the BeeFree Hive resource, Hive 5 resource. And again, simple form, So click whatever star rating or B rating that you wanted to give it, and click all the relevant sections. Yes, 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 yes. And we'd love you to be able to feed back into these where possible. And then you just click how you identify yourself, which area you fit into there, and then click submit. And then very shortly you'll get a notification to say that your submission has been sent. There we go. Alternatively, if you want to provide more feedback, you can directly email health.iau@keele.ac.uk and feed into it that way, or simply put your name, your email address, check the box that says I'd like to provide further feedback, submit, and one of the team will be in touch with you to explore that further. All of the contact buttons and forms take you through to the contact page, which again is as simple as putting your name, your email, and clicking one of the buttons and submitting your request there. If at any point you want to go back home, click the BeeFree icon at the top there, and it will take you back to the home page. We just really want to say thank you for allowing us to be part of this journey. People may be viewing the website whilst under differing circumstances, and we know that the aim of the messaging on the site is to help them leave the site with a more positive outcome, whether that be finding and downloading the repository resource or watching the animation and realizing that you're not alone and that there's support out there that can be accessed, but sometimes you do need to take those first steps towards that. So without further ado, I shall pass you back to the team, and we look forward to hearing your feedback. Thank you very much.
Thanks ever so much. That's brilliant, Dave. And Dave, thank you so much for being part of the core group and still loving us and being our friends at the end of it, because we kept giving you more and more work each day. So thank you. Thank you for still being with us by the end of it. We've really, really appreciated all the extra work that you and your team have put in. So thank you from all the core group to you. So in true style of co-creation, what we wanted to take these next 10 minutes to do with you really was to hear some reflections from the core team about what the experience of being part of this project has meant to them. So I'm going to ask Patricia, Dave and Jason, who have been key members of our core team right from the start, just to give us a sense of what it's meant for them. So we're going to hear from Patricia first. I think Patricia's recorded her reflection, so we're going to go with Patricia first, and then we'll go with Dave and then Jason, if that's okay. Over to Patricia.
So I'm just loading this up on Patricia's behalf. Can everybody see that?
Yeah, we can see it, Laura. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to try and play it as well, so let me know if you can hear it.
When I was first invited to join the QLab project, my contribution was to add a patient and public element to the meetings, and also to bring a lay perspective to the language and how information was displayed. With the onset of the coronavirus pandemic and lockdown, our ways of working changed in lots of ways. At the end of March 2020, we were asked to stay at home, and that meant keep calm and carry on with the project. This involved getting familiar with virtual meetings and the accompanying etiquette. There should be a warning light if you launch into conversation whilst the mute button is on, just to save embarrassment.
So I think, Laura, we've lost that.
Oh, looks like, Mandy, it looks like you've started sharing your screen.
So what I'm going to do, well, Mandy, if you can just stop sharing your screen, that would be great. I'm going to come to Jason. Jason, are you happy to give us some reflections on your experience of being part of the project?
Yes, of course. Yes.
Thanks, Jason.
Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you. Yep.
Okay. So I haven't brought a presentation. I just thought I'd provide some reflections on my experience of the project. My name is Jason McDonald. I'm a senior cognitive behavioural therapist in the Staffordshire Wellbeing Service, and part of my clinical role is working with people delivering psychological interventions for people with ongoing persistent pain and common mental health problems, anxiety and depression. And so when I was first contacted by Tom Kingston, to be part of the project, I really welcomed the opportunity really to be part of something which raises the profile of persistent pain and mental health, but also looks towards providing good quality information for people living with persistent pain, and particularly around the relationship with anxiety and depression. And within that, providing a platform, as already been said, for additional training and information about other relevant services that might be helpful. So, for example, talking therapy services for those people who particularly are struggling with that type of problem. I guess one of the challenges with this when I first joined the group was that we were already in the kind of times of remote working. And so trying to develop relationships through remote working on a project that was already started was somewhat unusual. But what was fantastic about the people within the project was how open and welcoming and how respectful they were in terms of all collectively bringing their minds together to work on this project, which has been unbelievable in terms of what's been achieved, really. So I guess the biggest critical feature for me was actually bringing together people from across a range of fields, so people who have lived experience of living with persistent pain and anxiety and depression, academics and researchers from Keele, but also clinicians in the field like myself, who all have a shared kind of key voice and wanting to change things for people with persistent pain and anxiety and depression. And so in this collaboratively driven community of practice, it's been unbelievable what can be achieved when working together with a collective voice with a clear objective, really. So it's been a fantastic kind of experience for myself, and the work that's been produced, I hope, will be very, very helpful for those people experiencing persistent pain, but also clinicians and people of the general public, to raise this profile really about the problems that many, many people with pain experience.
Thanks, Jason. That's great, and we were so pleased that you could join us on this project. So thank you for all your expertise and keeping us on the straight and narrow. Your expertise has been absolutely vital in this project. So thank you for your contributions. I'm going to come to Dave next, if that's okay. Dave, are you happy to give some reflections on your involvement with us?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So in terms of my reflections, I just want to say working on the BeeFree project has been an absolute pleasure, both speaking personally, but also on behalf of our team. It's been a really wonderful journey. I think that from the initial conversation through to delivering the workshop sessions, exploring audiences in order to build a strong brief, right through to creating and developing the design assets for the related innovations. I also think that even though the project was run 100% remotely, the advantages actually of being able to have digital meetings or even call an additional digital meeting at last minute perhaps enabled more people to be involved and allowed for more integrated approach into the creative process too, as well as and I think ultimately it's essentially allowed us to create a brand that's built on really strong foundations, which I think that's credit to how the project's been run so tightly, closely and collaboratively, really. As a design agency, we work to specific design processes, which allowed us to guide the project team and allow both clinicians, patients, volunteers to have a voice in the creative direction of the innovations. And we truly believe that these innovations will assist in their aim to support people with long-term pain and mental health issues further. I also think that with some projects, you can be working with an industry or an audience that you can sometimes find it quite hard to relate to. But I think as a team, we've all had personal, professional connections to people perhaps struggling with physical or mental health issues or pain. So to learn more through this process and to be able to adopt that, what we've been learning, I know I personally have seen a huge benefit already. Perhaps, you know, ditching the car before, where I would have perhaps got in the car to go and walk drive to the shop. I now walk to the shop, which I never did before. So all sorts of different things that we've been able to take away as well. Getting more active, being more creative, trying to get healthy, and ultimately being able to bring our own personal experiences to the project too. It's also great to be able to share the resource with others who we know will benefit as well, and have it accessible. So I think my final comments would be to say that to work in such a collaborative manner alongside the wider team, clinicians, patients and volunteers, to ensure the effectiveness of such important innovations has been really refreshing, and has allowed for us as a team to be an extended arm to the project team, allowing for a deeper understanding to form, all of which has really underpinned the subsequent design work. As a team of designers, once given the research and content, the challenge is always that we are readily accepted, was to help creatively communicate this valuable and supportive information and make the innovations accessible and engaging for people with long-term pain and mental health struggles. So working together, like I said at the beginning, has been a really positive experience. We really look forward to journeying with you and the wider team as the innovations are launched today, but also as they develop further. So thank you from us all.
Thanks, Dave. That's brilliant. I'm going to beg your forgiveness for an extra 5 minutes of your time, if I may, because of our technical hitch. But we definitely want to hear from Patricia. So if we can try playing Patricia's reflections again. Thanks ever so much, Laura.
Okay, fingers crossed.
When I was first invited to join the QLab project, my contribution was to add a patient and public element to the meetings, and also to bring a lay perspective to the language and how information was displayed. With the onset of the coronavirus pandemic and lockdown, our ways of working changed in lots of ways. At the end of March 2020, we were asked to stay at home, and that meant keep calm and carry on with the project. This involved getting familiar with virtual meetings and the accompanying etiquette. There should be a warning light if you launch into conversation whilst the mute button is on, just to save embarrassment. I speak from experience. We settled into working from home, and I took on the role of assisting Jenny with creating the repository. Over the next few months, this became a labour of love, an exercise in endurance, and a journey of discovery. We had virtual catch-ups and coffee and exchanged ideas, worked together and supported each other. The regular virtual meetings with the other members of the team kept us all in touch and up to date with how the project was progressing. Throughout the year since the first lockdown, working on the project has brought a little sunshine into my days. Thinking about putting together a guide to mental and physical well-being really felt like I was contributing to a very timely and worthwhile project. It has been an amazing adventure alongside amazing people. I have written a short poem to illustrate my part in the adventure. I hope you like it. Reviewing text, making sense, stringing words together, reading pages, choosing phrases. How can we say it better? Importing data, analysing, checking web addresses, deciding what is useful and how it best expresses ways to cope with daily stress, anxiety and pain, carefully compiled to help get back on track again. Straightforward information and practical advice, choosing words and pictures to reflect a healthy life. Working closely as a team, a cog within a wheel, creating something special, a toolkit with appeal. Sharing thoughts, talking through how to say in text, ways of moving forward from one day to the next. Managing pain, feeling sad, holding back the tears, staying safe, keeping well, staving off the fears. A guide to lifestyle choices we can all make today. This has been a journey. What more is there to say? Full of faith, made with love. I hope you all agree. It's a real part of the fabric of the project called BeeFree.
Absolutely amazing, Pat. Thank you so much for that. And I'm probably not the only one who's feeling quite emotional with hearing that poem. Thank you so much. That's just, and that gives you a sense of the creativity and the passion with which people have been involved in this project. Thank you, Pat, for your reflections. So I'm going to come to next steps, and we might have a couple of minutes for some questions. But Tom, do you want to have a couple of comments about next steps? And Libby, I'm going to ask you if you want to say anything as well. If you don't, that's absolutely fine. But I'm going to come to Tom first.
Thanks, Kay. I have to follow that, do I? Good luck to me. Yeah, so I guess, well, it's been a great launch event, I think. So thanks to everyone for being involved in it. So I guess in terms of next steps, we've released everything now. So what we need next is feedback from everyone, really. So we really want to know how people engage with what we produced, and what they think of it, and how they experience it as they kind of use it and engage with it. So we've got the evaluation form that's going to be released, which is an online evaluation form. So hopefully we've got a link to that somewhere. And we've also, as Dave's mentioned, we've got embedded in the website some feedback opportunities for people to engage with as well. We really hope that you do engage with those and give us some feedback. We're looking to improve the website and offer as we go. And we're also looking to use kind of the feedback that you give to publish in reports and in academic papers that we write as well, to share our work even wider. We'll obviously continue to kind of share and tweet about the resources that we've put together, and hope that you again can join in with that as well. And locally, we're looking at kind of engaging with primary care networks and third sector organisations, and those engaged with social prescribing, to raise awareness about the resources that we've got to offer, because we think they could really benefit those people working in those areas. And we're also going to use this project as an opportunity to discuss new clinical roles and cross specialties spanning physical and mental health in the local trust. And beyond this, I think it'd be really interesting to start conversations with groups outside of our local geography. We feel strongly that the resources that we've put together have a universal appeal. So the content of the animation and the training is relevant whether you're in Stoke, Stafford or Stockton-on-Tees. And the information repository provides a really universal framework that can be picked up and populated in whatever local area you are in. So there's real great opportunity and potential to scope this work up and out further. So we'd welcome discussions and conversations on those points, really. So I'll hand back to UK and Libby.
Thank you. So I think Libby's very happy with what we've said, and in terms of her kind of thanks to everybody on the project. So I think it leaves it to me just to kind of round off the afternoon. I think if I'm going to say thanks first, and then we'll take some questions. I'm conscious we're 5 minutes over time, so if people want to stay, the core team can hang around for a few minutes afterwards. But just to round off the afternoon, and I hope you've had a great afternoon hearing the journey of how we've developed these innovations that have come from the conversations that we've had with people with lived experience of muscle and joint problems and mental health issues. You've seen the repository, you've seen the animation, you've seen the website, you've seen the training, and what an immense amount of work and passion has gone into those innovations. So I'm going to forget somebody, so please forgive me if I do, but thank you to the core team, to Krisha, to Tom, Nikki, Laura, Carolyn, Jenny, Pat, June, Jason and Susan for all your work, for Dave in Just Design for sticking with us and being patient when we were giving him extra work every other 90 seconds. Thank you to all our collaborations with Minds, with our local NHS and the Impact Accelerator unit. We really are very, very grateful for our patients and everybody who's contributed their opinions, thoughts, feedback. We've just been hugely, hugely grateful. So we hope you've enjoyed the afternoon. I'm going to finish there, and forgive me if I've not said thank you, but if you are just with us in the room, thank you. And I hope that you've shared some of the kind of joy and the passion that has come through this afternoon from everybody involved. So if you do need to leave, please have a lovely evening in the sunshine, but a few of us will stay around for another perhaps 10 minutes or so until about 1:45 to take some questions. If anybody would like to ask us anything, that would be absolutely great. So once again, thanks ever so much to everybody. And I'll open the floor up for questions. If you want to pop your hand up, please do. And we've got some great comments in the chat saying thank you for the all the efforts and the contributions. Great innovations, all look amazing. Can't have a look, wait to look around it.
Got quite a few hands coming up now, Kay.
Okay, so let's have a look. Who's got the hands up?
John Murphy was first.
Hi, John.
Okay. I don't know very much about mental health, I have to confess, but I did notice an article in the Times yesterday from a lady called Lucy Folkes, who's an academic psychologist at University College London. In the article, the strapline was, if you feel sad, it's probably not depression. Normal human emotions have been medicalized. People are OCD, when we mean tidy, or have PTSD after a visit to a smelly pub lavatory. Are mental health disorders soaring to epidemic levels? Medicalization of what should be considered normal helps no one.
Thanks for that comment. I think probably I'm going to come to Jason and Tom and Carolyn, if you want to make any comment on that. And mental health isn't my speciality, but I'm going to come to perhaps Tom or Jason or Carolyn for comment.
Yeah, I'm happy to respond to that. It's a really important question. And I think the answer is yes and no. So we know that some people might contact a doctor or talking therapies using the term depression when they're distressed or reacting to a situation that would make anybody stressed. We also know that going in early with counselling and support after a traumatic event can make things worse. So I think there's always a danger of medicalising normal distress, but I think we also know that some people and some groups of people don't recognise distress as a condition that they could have treatment for. So particularly people with pain, particularly people with long-term physical conditions, may have low mood and may feel it's normal, it's usual. They may be told that by a healthcare professional, you've got diabetes and arthritis, you're in pain, of course you feel sad. Whereas actually we can do something about this. Then I suppose thinking about BeeFree, our aim is not to medicalise distress, low mood. It's actually to say, you know, if you've got pain, you may feel that you've got low mood. This is something you can do about it. And we're not attaching a diagnosis or a label. We're not saying you've got depression, you've got anxiety. We're saying, you know, yes, if you've got pain, your mood can be low. This is what you can do about it.
Thanks, Carolyn. That's super. I'm going to come to Fiona now. Thanks, Fiona.
Hi, Kay. Thank you for that. Really good to see everybody this afternoon. So I just wanted to ask a question about where, I do apologise if you have said this, but where this is going to be shared, because obviously I know it's going to be shared in some of our, when we're face to face, in our community buildings. But I'm just thinking, obviously, for our organisation, we've got mental health services in the south of Staffordshire, and actually people might be presenting to mental health services because of a mental health struggle, but actually it might be as a result of pain, of having some sort of pain. So I'm just thinking, is it going to be available to all of our mental health services as well as physical?
Absolutely. So I think perhaps myself and Tom and Jason, we will commit to making sure all those resources and the links are available to everybody in the organisation through either yourself, Fiona, or anybody. Any links that you can give us, we'll be very happy to provide those links. Yeah,
thank you.
Super. Or and any kind of follow-up conversations if people want to have a chat if they've not been able to hear this. But we could also send the link to this presentation as well, couldn't we? Super. Thanks, Fiona.
Thank you.
And I'm going to come to Helen next. Helen, you might be on mute.
Yeah, I am, Kate. It wouldn't unmute. Can you hear me now? Great,
yep.
Thank you. Machines are just uncanny, aren't they? It wants to shut me up. First of all, congratulations. I've had a super afternoon and managed to avoid all fencing at the same time, so a double win. Two questions. The first is, how do we keep this up to date? Because it's extraordinary piece of work. And the second is, when are you all having bubbles? Because it's brilliant. Congratulations. But the first one was just how do we work with you to help keep it up to date?
Thanks, Helen. So we had a conversation about that even earlier today. So June has kindly offered at the pier to help us keep it up to date in terms of checking the resources and potentially doing that on a time, so perhaps every 6 months or every 12 months to make sure links work, information's up to date, because we recognise that is important, and we've got some commitment to continue working for a short period of time with Dave in that spirit as well. And in terms of when we're having bubbles, when are we having bubbles, Tom? We need a big back garden, don't we? I'm very happy. Big back garden. Come on round anytime you like, as soon as we can, as soon as it's legal. Any other questions? Does anybody want to make any other comments about keeping up to date? I'm conscious that the rest of the core team are here if you want to comment.
Only, Kate, that the core team have committed to continue with the support and management of the project. So although the official end of the funding for this project is today with the launch, we will as a core team commit to continue to work together in partnership with all the organisations to ensure that this project continues to move forward, and we'll be regularly meeting still, won't we?
Yep. Thanks, Nikki. So I don't see any more hands up, unless, can anybody else see anybody else's hands up? Fiona Walker. Hi, Fiona.
Hi, Fiona. I see it's on social media. Does that mean Facebook, Twitter, and all the other obvious social media outlets?
So I'm going to hand you to Laura.
Hi, Fiona. At the moment, it's on Twitter, and you can keep up to date on Twitter by going to BeeFree Hal. Sorry, there's a bit of an echo.
For myself, I was thinking for in future for other people.
Yeah, definitely. I've posted on Facebook for my personal. We can do it from the IAU as well. And we're in touch with the communication teams in the FT and the local, so hopefully they will help spread the message on there. Sorry about the really bad echo.
Would you consider a forum on the back end of the website?
As like a discussion on the website?
Yeah.
That's certainly something we can take to the core group and talk about.
Okay.
So Fiona, what I'd suggest is put it on your feedback.
Oh, right,
Perhaps go onto the website and give us some feedback.
I've tried to get onto the website and I've managed to make a hash of it. So.
Okay. If you can just put yourself back on mute again, Fiona.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. So, Krisha?
Yeah, so congratulations to the team. It's been fantastic as a bystander from the Impact Accelerator unit to sit and to actually see what we say we do actually come to life through excellent clinical and academic leadership. So congratulations, and patient and public involvement. I think if we're talking about sustainability, it would be a good time also to recognise that Keele has a Keele Deal Health initiative, which is this commitment to work in collaboration with the local health and care economy in the North West Midlands, and to work with stakeholders around needs and taking, you know, sort of important projects forward. It may be something, again, the commitment through the Kiel Deal Health transforming services, that this is a sort of catalyst to other things. So just to say that, you know, it's in an excellent place to continue and to be sustained beyond the life of the project's funding.
Thanks, Krisha. So I think we've got some next steps, some things to take away from today. I'm just going to round off now by saying thank you, because I can't see any other hands up. Please have a look at the resources and give your feedback, because the evaluation is really, really important to us in our next steps and further development. So thanks, everybody. Enjoy the rest of the evening, and I think we'll draw the meeting to a close with saying go and enjoy the sunshine, and thank you everybody for all your contributions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Bye.
Frankly outstanding. Have a great evening.
Thanks, Helen. I don't know whether the core team is staying on for 5 minutes if you want.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
I'll leave you to it, but just to say, wow. Wow. I mean, I know that you've been cooking up a storm, but like, you know, to actually see it all come together like this, I can absolutely appreciate all the hard work that's gone behind this. So incredibly well managed, I have to say. So congratulations, well done. And I'll leave you to your post-match analysis.
You're welcome. You're welcome to stay. You're really welcome to stay, Krisha, honestly.
I'll leave you to it, but
congratulations. All right, thanks.
That's
Thanks,
fantastic.
Krisha. So I'm just making sure who's on the meet, who's still with us.
Just the 4 of us.
Oh, is that just 4 of us?
Carol's still here.
Oh,
Hello, Carol. It's all right. That's fine. Carol can stay with us. That's lovely. Well done, everybody. Awesome. Just awesome, wasn't it? You know, I don't know about you, but did everybody get emotional? I got tears in my eyes at several points to
Yeah. When Patricia first sent the poem, I cried, and then I listened to it again and cried, and then I just cried again.
Honestly, just amazing. And Dave, thank you for everything you've been doing. You know, I know you've been working kind of around the clock to help us hit this deadline. So thank you so much, and for still smiling at the end of it is awesome.
You've got it's a manic smile, Dave.
Yeah.
So I promise, I'll make a promise now then, as soon as we're allowed more than 6 of us, because it would be rude to just invite, I can't do it now, can I? I couldn't get us all legally, can I? So, okay, I'll make a commitment that as soon as we're allowed, I will do the bubbles and we'll have a proper celebration. That's what you heard it here. I will you know, whether you choose to accept or not, it's up to you. But I will do the bubbles and a bit of food for us, so we can have a bit of a celebration. But awesome, absolutely awesome. Anybody got any other reflections?
I really liked the short and snappy. I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew what was coming, but I think it keeps everybody's attention, doesn't it? Because it's short and sweet, and on to the next, and the excitement was there because we did it like that, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think we needed to go into a huge amount of the detail, and people can look at it themselves now. And I was watching the participants stayed pretty much constant as well, so we didn't lose anybody until about 4:30. So that's pretty good.
And I think we were on time, apart from the glitch. What was going on? Who was sharing the screen?
Mandy, she'll be absolutely mortified as well. And she just shared her screen and then it stopped everything. And I kept pressing request control and it wouldn't come back from her. Where's she gone?
Oh, brilliant. I mean, you can plan for almost everything, can't you? Apart from, so in your instructions now, mute yourself and don't touch anything. Don't touch anything. Don't touch anything. If you see anybody leaning forward, stop. Oh, it's almost like, you know, when you give your mum a new iPhone and you get all sorts of random things coming through, and then she says, "This phone isn't working," and you're thinking you're just doing things you don't understand, aren't you? That's brilliant, brilliant. Are you happy, Tom, Nikki, Dave?
Yeah.
Happy with how it went?
Yeah, it's so good to see
That's really
kind of
good. Yeah.
where everything like sequentially kind of, you know, being talked about. I think you then realise actually kind of all the different elements that then like come together. It's great to see.
It's almost like we planned it.
Yeah.
The illusion of great planning skills. Brilliant, brilliant.
Yeah.
Well done, everybody. Right, okay. Does anybody else want to add anything else? I guess we've got another meeting in the diary to kind of keep pushing forwards with content and things, haven't we? Sorry to bring us down to that.
Twitter seems to have had a good reaction as well so far. So
good stuff. Good stuff. Well done.
Hopefully that will translate to website hits and stuff if we keep plugging away.
Yeah, brilliant.
Do you
Brilliant.
think we can wait till the next core group meeting to follow up on Fiona? I mean, Fiona's comment was really well made, wasn't it? This should go out to every clinical lead that we have in physio and mental health services, shouldn't it? Can we wait until the next core group to think that through, or should we start mapping who they are?
Well, I think we've had on the call, we had Jenny Collier. So we had Jenny, who's lead for North Staffs and Stoke Care Group. So I think we've had some core people today who we could just look through that list and say, can we send the resources or the link to the resources through them? Or even just send the resources to everybody on that list to start with and say, please share with as many networks as you can. And I suspect that will kind of, you know, can you imagine we've got, we had Dave Bengry with us, didn't we? We had Jason. So they're going to be sending.
Yeah, Jason will know the mental health lead.
Yeah. So if we send it, you know, a kind of short and snappy email to everybody on our list to say, these are the resources that we launched. Please have a look and share as widely as possible.
Hey, I think we've got one that we put together when we did the press release. We've got an email that we that has got graphics in it and things as well that we can send out as a HTML monkey.
Oh, no, we're just
not survey. I'm doing whatever.
You know what? You'll never work with a team like this again. You won't work with a team like this again. You know. You won't. No. You won't. Enjoy it while it lasts.
For many different reasons, Dave.
Oh, this is awesome.
You're thinking, thank God for that. Spare me another group like this. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. That's great. So if you've got that, so are you happy to send that out, Laura, to that list then?
Yeah. I haven't. Have you got the list, Nikki? Yeah. Or the list of just people that were there? I didn't note down what you just said.
As in that list, you know, the list, the
attendees.
The participant list, Laura, that you sent over. Just to go to them,
I will.
Well.
All right, perfect.
Okay.
Anything else? Because I can feel a gin and tonic coming on before the next meeting at 6.
Just a quick one for Tom on the training. If you just have a quick look, even if you just sign yourself up, have a look in the amends to the module that we made this morning. Feedback last night. So just have a look at those, make sure we caught them, and then we can obviously talk you know, the next few days as to what, you know, what else you want to implement and stuff like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we just want to know, Tom and Dave, how much sleep have you two had in the last week? Have you been to bed at all, or have you been kind of like
in the last month, I think?
Oh dear. Yeah, you're awesome.
You work right up to the end of the deadline, and even today, like, I mean, the site went live, I think, about 1:45 this afternoon, just to make sure it went live, you know, and we'd already been testing it and stuff. But I think over these next few days, just test it, just make sure you're happy that whether you fill in the forms, make sure that they go through to the right places. We've done testing. I know that we sent some tests through to the IAU inbox. Make sure you're happy with it. Any amends, just give us a shout.
Okay, thanks, Dave. Laura, if you can send the email to me as well, so because I can send it out through my networks as well.
Okay.
Real. All right. Have a nice evening, everybody. Enjoy the sunshine. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Well done. Whoop, 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 whoop.